Hello guys, welcome to a fun video. Today I'm going to show you how to make this gorgeous card. Now before we start, I do want to say that this card was inspired by another card that I saw on Pinterest. There was no link to link back to find out who the original owner was. So I don't know who the original owner was, but I do want to say that this card was inspired by someone else, and if that person is you, thank you very much. I just thought this card was stunning, and I wanted to make it, and now I want to show you how I made it, because I think it's just stunning. Alright, so I used two different stamp sets for this card. I used the After the Storm stamp set. We're going to be using the Greeting, these rays, and then the clouds from this stamp set. And then the other stamp set I'm using is the To the Moon stamp set, and for this one we're just going to be using that moon. Gorgeous, and we're going to use the stars too, but just gorgeous stamp sets. These are really fun stamp sets. So let me show you how I made this. We're going to actually start with all of our stamping first. Well, some of our stamping. We're going to stamp the moon and the greeting. We're going to start with that first. Alright, so I have just a scrap piece of white here. The moon is a pretty big stamp, and it's photopolymer, so I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat just to give me a little bit of extra cushion for that moon stamp. And let me see, where is it? Here it is. So it's pretty big. I'm going to ink it up in Smoky Slate. I'm actually going to turn it over and ink it in Smoky Slate. The thing I love about this moon stamp is that you're going to get all of these light and dark shades of the moon with just one stamp. There's no two-step stamping here. This is one of our distinctive stamps, and it's just going to give you that amazing moon stamp with just one stamp. Beautiful, right? All right, so I'm going to close my Smoky Slate ink pad before we make a mess, and I'm going to bring in Night of Navy, and we're going to stamp our greeting. So this greeting is from the After the Storm stamp set, and actually I can move my mat out of the way, and I'm going to stamp that. Even the darkest night will pass and the sun will rise. Isn't that beautiful? This is a great little encouragement card. Okay, we're going to close that. We are going to come back and do a little bit of stamping in a little bit. But I do want to die cut these, and I want to die cut these before we start doing our ink blended background, because we're going to do a little bit onto the sun. All right, I'm using two different die sets here. I have the Layering Circles dies for our moon, and then this is the Tasteful Labels dies for our greeting. So I have the dies, whoops, I have the dies that we're going to use already out. So let me grab some Post-it tape, and we're going to hold that down, and then we'll get our die cut machine. So I just want to line this up. The Layering Circles dies will cut out the moon beautifully. It'll leave just a little bit of an edge, and then this this label fits perfectly in that for that greeting. All right, so I'm going to bring in my large Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. You can use your mini one for this. I think both of these will fit in the mini one, but for ease, we're just going to use our big one. So we have our platform, plate 2, and then our 2 cutting plates. Close this, move it out of the way. And we have our die cuts ready to go. Let's get these out. All right, now let's work on that ink blended background. All right, so I have a piece of basic white cardstock that is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to pull in some scratch paper. This is just a little piece of scratch paper from our Stamparatus grid paper. And let me see, I need some blending brushes. I forgot to get those out, so let me get my yellow, my blue, and my purple brushes here. So we're actually going to start with the Bumblebee. We're going to start with our yellow. And so I'm going to get my Bumblebee pad out, and let me bring this in so you can kind of see where we're going. I want nearly half of it diagonally to be Bumblebee. So I'm going to ink up my blending brush. I'm just going in circular motions on my ink pad just to get that nice and inky. And I'm actually going to start on the grid paper, and I'm just going to work in circular motions onto my cardstock. Now it's important to remember that when you are ink blending, you can always add color, but you cannot take it away. So if you get it too dark, you really can't fix it. It's you can't take away the ink. So start light, start with a lighter hand, don't go too heavy-handed. And I always like to start off on my scratch paper, because if I get a real harsh line from the blending brush, sometimes you can get those harsher lines from the blending brush. I like that to happen on my grid paper and not on my project. All right, so you can see just a beautiful layer of color here. And I want it just a little bit darker and a little bit more in the middle here. Okay, now as long as we have our Bumblebee ink out, just a little bit more along the sides. This is pretty addicting. I mean, you could keep going and going and going. It's a little addicting. Blending is so much fun, but you can see just how beautiful this is looking already. But as long as we have our yellow out, I'm going to grab that moon die cut here, and I'm going to do just a little bit, just along the one half of it anyway. And that's gonna just kind of make it blend seamlessly into our background. So just a little bit on half of the moon. So I'm gonna set that aside. I'm gonna set my Bumblebee aside. We're gonna pull out some Highland Heather ink. Whoa, let me see if I can grab it. I didn't grab this one. All right, Highland Heather ink, and we're going to do the same thing, but we're really gonna focus in that middle area. So I have my purple blending brush here. Now our blending brushes come in packs of 3. So, and you can reuse them, you can rinse them out and reuse them. I have one dedicated for each kind of color group. So I have one for all my reds, one for all my blues, one for all my greens, etc. and etc. So, but I really love them. All right, so we're going in with some Highland Heather just along this kind of middle section here. And it's okay to overlap the yellow a little bit. Don't overlap it too much because yellow and purple will not make a pretty color. So don't overlap it too much. We just want a little bit of purple on our paper here. Perfect. I think that's good. All right, can you see how this is coming together? All right, so I'm gonna put that aside. I'm gonna bring in my Night of Navy. And I'm gonna ink that up, and we're going to do kind of the rest of this in Night of Navy. And I'm gonna go down into that Highland Heather purple area a little bit. We don't want to cover it up completely, but we really want like this darker night sky. So just keep getting some more ink. I'm really going to concentrate in this corner over here. I really want it to be the darkest way over here. Just kind of go in. All right, just a little more. I really want that darker edge. Now, if you need to shop for any Stampin' Up supplies, I do have a link to my online store in the video description. You can shop my online store anytime. I do have a host code for November. You can shop using that host code. All orders will receive a PDF with 3 exclusive projects. If your order is over $50, you'll also receive a make and take kit to go with that PDF. All right, I think that's good. I do want to come in just a little bit more purple. I want to really highlight this purple a little bit more. And actually, I think I'm gonna come and pull in some Gorgeous Grape, because that is it's a little bit more intense purple, but it'll I think it'll work well. Okay, beautiful. That's the purple I wanted. Okay, so you can see just how beautiful this looks. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Okay, put our ink pads away for now. We will be coming back to them in just a second. Actually, I think we're going to come back to them right now. We're going to pull in our Night of Navy. And I didn't get this stamp out. We're going to use these little tiny stars here. So let me pull that out and grab a block. We're going to pick that up. And I'm just going to do a little bit of stars just up here in this Night of Navy background, just to give it a little bit more texture and life to it. So I don't know how well that's gonna show up on there, but they're there. They're gorgeous. All right, now let's pull in our Bumblebee ink again. Let me see, where did that go? Here it is. And we're going to stamp those beautiful rays coming out. So I have the rays here, and we're going to take that same ink that we ink blended with, and I'm actually going to start right here in the corner, and I'm just going to ink that, stamp it right in the corner, just like that. This alone would be beautiful, just like that, but we're going to just keep following that line here. And one more up on this side, just like that, and then we'll just go around and do it down here. One right here. All right, so that is our stamping on our background. And oh, you know what? Before we put our scratch paper away, let's bring back the moon and our purple ink here, our blending brush, and I'm just going to go around for the other half of the moon, a little bit of purple, and then I'll just come in with a little bit of the Night of Navy. You don't even need to get more ink on those. There's plenty on there. All right, so there's our moon. There's our background. Gorgeous. All right. We have one more bit of stamping to do. I just have some scratch pieces of Smoky Slate here. And grab my Smoky Slate ink again. And we're just going to stamp some clouds. These are the clouds from the After the Storm set. So let me just, got one here. I'm trying to use up some scraps. I'm hoping I can fit them onto these little scraps of cardstock here. All right, so just a couple of clouds that we've stamped in Smoky Slate. Now there are no dies for this, so you would have to fussy cut them, but I have already fussy cut those clouds, so we have those ready to go. All right, so let's start assembling this beautiful card. So we have our moon, and I'm gonna put some dimensionals on the back of that. Probably 3 is good. Now you just wanna line up the moon to, along those colors that we ink blended them. So just put it in the middle, just kind of making sure that those same colors overlap in the right areas. You don't want to put the purple side on the yellow side. Okay, beautiful. We're going to stick our greeting on as well. I'm going to stick a dimensional down here to hold it on, and then I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue just along the top of that greeting, where it's going to overlap onto the moon. And I think just like that. Beautiful. Now we're going to do our clouds. This one I'm actually going to just trim in half because the one is going to be too long. So a little bit of liquid glue on the back of that. We're just going to slide this under, and actually my dimensional is right there. So I'm going to cut it just a little bit more. Just slide that under just a little bit. Now the other half that we cut off, we're going to put on the other side. And just kind of tuck that in wherever. Just like that. And this one, we're going to pop up on a dimensional, kind of the same way we did our greeting. So I'm going to pull off a dimensional, just kind of stick it on the side here. Then on the right side of the cloud, I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue. It's going to overlap the moon a little bit. Just like that. All right. Now let's get this onto our card, of course, with dimensionals. I'm actually going to use my edge pieces here. Dimensional edge pieces. They are my favorite pieces of the dimensionals. All right, let me pull off some of these, and I think this is good. Pull off all these backings. And my card base is a Bumblebee card base, so it's just 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. This is going to go right onto our card base. Now, if your clouds are hanging off your card, you can trim them a little bit. All right, and now just for a finishing touch, we are going to come in with some of these cute stars, and I'm going to use the purple ones, and I'm just going to come in and add maybe 3, maybe 5. I don't know. I'm just going to come in and add like a variety of these purple stars, and that's also going to just really help that purple kind of stand out a little more. All right, I think one kind of right here. All right, there is our beautiful card. Isn't this stunning with that ink blended background? I think this is just gorgeous, and what a great little encouragement card. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you do need to shop for any supplies, please head to my online store. Remember to use this host code if you're watching this on YouTube. I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe to my channel so you never miss a video. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.